Did you know the best soil conditioner money can buy is actually free and you can make it in your garden? Let's talk about leaf mold. Leaf mold develops through the natural process of fungus breaking down fallen leaves. To get a good idea of this process, visit your nearest woodland or forest preserve and find a patch of leaves underneath a tree's canopy. Pull back the leaves until you get to a slightly moistened, crumbly soil-like material. This is leaf mold, and in its natural environment, leaf mold develops underneath trees, feeding their roots trace nutrients, enriching the soil, and providing a proper habitat for macro and microorganisms. Research studies have indicated that digging leaf mold into your garden's soil helps improve plant vigor, can also amplify crop yield, or even help out with disease resistance. Now, for a no-till approach, you could just scatter some leaf mold on top of your garden beds, treating it like a mulch, which is going to help moderate soil temperature and retain moisture. These properties also make it a great addition to seed starting medium, helping the roots of young plants get established. At home, I like to let the leaves that fall directly beneath my trees stay put, so they can go through their natural process undisturbed. But each autumn I borrow the leaves that fall beyond my tree's canopies to make my own leaf mold for use in my garden. Before you get started making leaf mold, you have to make sure that you have plenty of the main ingredient, leaves. Also, leaf mold can take a really long time to develop. It's one of those processes in gardening that takes a lot of patience. But there's a workaround that can help you kickstart the leaf mold process. After raking your leaves, transfer them to the driveway, sidewalk, or patio. Then, run your lawnmower over the leaf pile with the bag attached so it catches all the scraps. Now, you don't want to do this over your lawn because you don't want to pick up any grass clippings. That would be fine if you were composting, but you're making leaf mold, which requires nothing but dead, dry tree leaves. After mowing over the pile, you'll have nicely shredded leaves, accelerating the breaking down process. There are three main ways to make leaf mold: bin it, bag it, or leave it. I installed this bin a year ago, and look at how much it has already broken down. To build this bin, all I did was measure out a 9.5-foot strip of chicken wire, stand it up, and connect the ends. And you can use pretty much any materials to build a leaf mold bin that you would use if you were making a compost bin. From wood panels, fence pickets, pallets, as long as you're enabling enough airflow for your leaf mold to breathe. Once your bin is constructed, put it in a shady area in an out-of-the-way part of your garden and fill it up. As it forms, leaf mold benefits from good airflow and a moist, not wet, environment. So you want your bin to be large enough to promote airflow. You don't want something that you're just going to pack leaves in really tightly. You want to give the fungus room to develop. And you don't want to overwater. Don't drown your leaves. You don't want to be able to grab your leaves and wring any water out of them. I really just watered my bin during some drought conditions. Otherwise, I let rain take care of the rest. And check out the side-by-side. The volume in this bin has decreased significantly over the past year. And this is super encouraging after just 1 year, because it can take upwards of 3 years for leaf mold to get to where you want it. And after just 1 year, we might have enough decomposition here to be able to have some usable stuff for the garden. Let's take a look and see what we might be able to harvest. Like with a compost pile, the stuff on the bottom is what we're after. And after just a little bit of pushing aside the upper leaves that still need to fully break down, we hit the jackpot. This is perfect, exactly what we want to see. The macro and microorganisms in this bin are breaking down the leaves super well. And as we get to the bottom of the bin, this is what we find, the gardener's gold. This leaf mold is the absolute best natural soil conditioner for your garden. And now I can harvest more, setting it aside for use in my garden. And once I'm done harvesting, I'm going to give it a couple of turns with my garden fork. Not to fully mix all of the leaves together, but I do want to bring some of the fungus that's underneath up to the top so it can get to work. And once you're done, it's time to refill the bin. I'm using the leaves I chopped up earlier with my lawnmower. These will break down way faster than whole leaves. Another way to make leaf mold is to bag it. If you have limited space or only want a little bit of leaf mold, you can find success by filling a large garbage bag with leaves. If you're worried about plastic in the garden, consider using compostable bags like what I use here. After filling the bag, water the leaves a bit, tie off the bag, and then poke some holes in the side of the bag. I like to use a garden fork for this. Remember, water and airflow. Then just place the bag in a shady, out-of-the-way spot in your garden and let the process begin. This is a method where chopping the leaves up ahead of time really will help move things along. Because the leaves are in an enclosed space with limited airflow and access to outside moisture, the leaves can dry up pretty quickly, which will definitely slow down decomposition. So you may want to help things out from time to time by picking up the bag and shaking it, or even untying it and adding a little bit of water. And if you use shredded leaves at the outset, you're giving them a head start when it comes to breaking down. Now let's see how things are looking inside the bag after a year. Yeah, as I suspected, much of these leaves need some more time. And that's largely due to the fact that I didn't chop up the leaves before I put them into the bag, and I also didn't do much during the season in the way of shaking the bag or regularly watering. But it doesn't mean that this process doesn't work. In fact, when I dig deeper into the bag, I can find leaves at the bottom that are starting to break down really nicely. But remember, this process takes time, especially if you treat it as a set it and forget it method. So these leaves will break down into leaf mold, but it's going to take a lot of time, especially if you don't do anything to help coax it along. Now, the third method of how to make leaf mold is about as straightforward as you can get. Just leave them. Now, I don't mean leave them exactly where they fall. You want to gather them together and pile them up so there's some sort of structure. Think again about the forest floor. It's filled with fallen leaves from years past, with new leaves piling on top of them each autumn. And you can recreate this at home and benefit from the leaf mold that's produced. All it takes is raking up the leaves into a pile or collecting leaves from elsewhere in your yard and transplanting them to a large pile. And just like the other two methods, find a shady spot that's out of the way where your leaves can just sit and break down for a year or 3. I also find that it's best to locate the pile somewhere that's not going to be overly affected by wind. So any sort of windbreak, whether it's trees, shrubs, or a fence, is generally going to help keep your leaves in one place while they break down. This is by far the simplest method of making leaf mold. You're mimicking what happens in nature, but giving it a little bit of push by creating a larger pile, watering it on occasion, and maybe even shredding the leaves before piling them. And now, let's see how it's doing 1 year later. Just like when we were at the forest preserve, all we have to do is pull back the top layer and check out what's going on underneath. And here it is, gardener's gold created right in my backyard. This process works so perfectly. I can harvest what I need, and then I can leave some here to condition the soil in this part of my garden. And with autumn in full swing, I have plenty of leaves around to help build the next pile right on top of last year's. And now that my leaf mold is harvested, I can use it in various ways across my entire garden. This cousin of compost will help feed and protect my garden, all for the low, low cost of raking up some leaves. So start making your own leaf mold this fall and unlock the power of nature's absolute best soil conditioner. Happy growing!